The 2024 election is right around the corner, and it is being dominated by 7 states: Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. These are known as swing states, and depending on which candidate they end up voting for, it's going to decide the outcome of this election. But this is not a static landscape. Swing states come and go, they change almost every election cycle, and it completely changes the dynamics of presidential elections. So for this video, I want to take a look at the history of swing states, see how it's evolved over time, identify what states might become the future swing states, and we're also going to dive into what happens if there are no swing states. If an election is uncompetitive, what happens then? Alright, so let's begin with a definition here. So technically there is no universal, strict definition as to what constitutes a swing state, but generally it's categorized by having a small vote margin that different political parties can win over time. Since 1992, 30 states have voted for the candidate of the opposing party from the previous election at least once, and 26 states have won by less than 3 points. As we discussed in the 2024 election cycle, we have 7 swing states broken up into 3 main regions: the Rust Belt, the Southwest, and the Southeast. Sometimes these are grouped together and we just have the Rust Belt and the Sun Belt, but that implies that these 2 areas vote together, and I don't think that's going to be the case this time around. According to the betting markets, this is Polymarket, one of my favorite sites, the odds have closed. It's now just a 1-point game, and this is how they currently have the battleground states. It looks like Arizona and Georgia are the most likely to go Republican at this point. Michigan at this point is probably going to go Democratic. North Carolina and Wisconsin are essentially the inverse, both having a very slight tilt towards one party. And Nevada, along with Pennsylvania, are the true toss-ups right now. Now, it does kind of feel like 7 swing states is a lot to have in one election cycle, but historically that's right in line with the mean. In 2020, we had 5, in 2016, 6, 2012 was low at only 2, 9 swing states in 2008, 3 in 2004, 11 in the year 2000, 5 in 1996, and the most ever in 1992 at 22 swing states. And let's go back in time and identify these swing states. So again, these are the 7 we have today. Back in 2016, the map was similar but different. So 8 years ago, Minnesota was considered one of the swing states, along with Maine, New Hampshire, and Florida. Going back further to 2012, we had Florida, North Carolina, and Ohio. In 2008, we still had North Carolina, Florida, but we traded Ohio for Indiana, Missouri, and Montana. In 2004, we had a lot of similar states to today, including Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, with the addition of some other names like New Hampshire, Iowa, and New Mexico. And as we get further back in time, this is 1996, 1992, 1988, the map just becomes more weird and unrecognizable, with even New Jersey being a swing state back in 1992. And that just shows that any state really has the potential to eventually, at some point in time, become a swing state. And to try and identify which states might become swing states in the near future, we can use this infographic right here, because it shows exactly how states have voted dating back to 1976. We can use it to identify potential trends. So for example, Idaho here, we can see that it's been trending more and more red, so it is very unlikely that this state will become a swing state anytime soon. And Wisconsin, we can see, is clearly a swing state. It was more Democratic, but it's been trending slightly towards the Republican side. So using this infographic, I've identified a few trends here, and let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. But it looks like New Mexico may eventually, not this election cycle, but eventually become a competitive place. We can see it's not super blue, and it's been trending a little bit lighter here. Another interesting case is Alaska. This is not as deeply red as a lot of people think, and we can clearly see here that it's been trending towards a more competitive state. But the state that has the most consequences here for future elections, I think, is going to be Texas. So historically and right now, it's a solid red state, but the trend here is very clear. Texas is moving from deep red to a less secure bet. And some people are predicting that by the next election, 2028, it may officially be a swing state. But all of this does beg the question, what if we get to an election cycle that there are no competitive swing states? And this can realistically happen. I mean, after all, in 2012, there's only 2 competitive states. I found this post on Reddit asking the same question, and this reply is absolutely golden. And he says here that the losing party would change its position in order to be more competitive. Both parties have had to do this over the years. Republicans moderated after losing to FDR and Truman and accepted the existence of the New Deal and a social safety net. As a result, moderate Republicans like Eisenhower and Nixon were able to win the presidency. After Reagan, Democrats had to moderate, largely on the generosity of the welfare state, trade, and that brought the party back to being more competitive. He also goes on to say that there are some exceptional times in history where major political parties have completely failed and are replaced by new political parties. The example he gives here are the Whigs. This was a short-lived political party in the 1800s that didn't really take any definitive policy stance, and it was eventually replaced by the Republican Party. So that's the history of swing states in America, how they impact elections, which states might become more competitive in the future, and how political parties need to constantly adapt in order to make this map competitive. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed, I appreciate a like before you go, even subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one.